Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be going through my fantasy team reveal for round 6, going through the trades for it, as well as just my thoughts. As usually around this point of the season, we start to consider the mid-season buys that are coming up in about 6 weeks. So we need to consider who we have on in round 12 for the buys, and then also just consider how are we going to dance around that. And potentially just look at which weeks do I not have any guys traded, any premiums on and stuff like that. So before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. And if you're listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there. And let's jump into this. So as you can see, here is the side. You've probably already seen the trade, or at least some allusion to it. Let me just make it so that this is bigger for you guys. There we go. That's going to make it easier. So let's just go to the trade. The trade, first of all, Finn Callahan straight up to Nick Daicos, and then Corey Warner to Caden Cleary, just giving us a lot more cash generation. Even though I'm a Swans fan, I'm a little bit weary about what they're going to do with team selection. So Cleary, I think, still holds for quite a while now. Harry Cunningham redid his calf, which is 6 weeks away. So that just means another spot that it means that those sort of half-back flankers and wingers are going to stay for a little bit longer. Harry Cunningham sort of gets on to near enough about 2 or 3 weeks before we get the likes of Errol Gordon back, as well as he's around the same timeline as Jesse Detoli gets back into the VFL. So you start to see he's almost those sort of wingers and half-backs are much more later in the piece, but Sydney will still have some guys returning quickly. So anyway, having said that, it leaves me with 1k left, and it leaves me with a plan of action for the next couple of weeks. If we look at round 12, I've got Sheasel, that's 1. Rosie, that's 2. DeConing, we wait and watch selection-wise and how that shapes up in the next couple of weeks, because he's definitely got a high break even. North Melbourne this week could be difficult, but that's 3 so far. Horn Francis, 4. Caleb Daniel, 5. So that means I've got 5 guys that are on it by the time that it rolls around, unless Sanders picks up his form again, which he's slightly doing in the last 3 of an average of 81. So I've got 3 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I've got 5 guys. Sanders will be the 6th if he holds on. Davidson is gone in the next week or 2. He's just starting to edge towards being not a liability, but just sort of a guy that's getting points what he's priced at, almost in a way is what I'd describe it as. So he is definitely a guy that will be potentially moved on in the near enough future, as I'm even trying to consider a way in which, if I use through Connor Stone or even Finn O'Sullivan, is there a way in which I can get another defender on field and put Harry Sheasel in the midfield, etc.? Just doing something like that, and then you get a Zach Reed and Luke Traynor on field rather than a Gross or even a Davidson off field. So you're basically, do you go Davidson or do you go a Zach Reed? I'm just thinking here. Let's just show you guys for the sake of it. Then we go this way, and then we go Moraes. I need to just make this a little bit smaller so that I can do the trades there. So, and then Levi Ashcroft comes in for Davidson, and then you get a Zachary, Luke Traynor, Finn O'Sullivan can go to the bench there, and then you'd have that, which would put Roberts at D3 for a week. Obviously, that's actually a lot easier. I can just do it through Jack Sinclair going back as well, I think is the best way to actually do that. So let's just roll back this team and then do it in a more simple way. It would be, who needs to go into the midfield? I need another guy on the bench there. So no, it doesn't actually work that way. Just thinking through my head, because I need a second bench player to get Leak and O'Sullivan onto the bench effectively. So anyway, having said all that, that's totally fine. So just do these trades quickly again here. So we grab Callahan out, and then we grab in Daicos, and we will also grab in Cleary as well. It might stuff me over with the way I've done these, the ordering which I've done the trades. I can just do this. So let's just see. Hopefully it's smart enough to realize. Yep, there we go. I might switch that around in case I need some late switcheroonies there. But that is effectively that. Caden Cleary on the, I don't know whether I want to, let's actually check who plays early. So Sydney they both play on a Sunday. That's not a good thing. Is there a way in which, well, Levi's going to play anyway. So is there a way in which I can leverage early playing game? So you got Brisbane, Collingwood. So Levi's going to be there anyway, but he could be my last forward rookie. So I could do something like this. I'm not gonna do that, actually. Just thinking about it. I'm just trying to find a way in which I can lock in the best score, theoretically speaking, out of these rookies, because I've got Levi, Lindsay, Gross, Davidson, Cleary, Bice, and then Reed and Trainer, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rookie scorers, effectively speaking. So yeah. My team isn't looking bad. I just need to start upgrading these sort of 800k guys like Short, Roberts, even to a certain extent, Nick Daicos, Clayton Oliver, Riley Sanders, and get them up, which shouldn't actually be too hard, like, in all honesty. So I'm not in the worst position. It looks bad, but I think I've almost got my cash in good areas per se. It just looks bad that most people have, instead of Camporelli, like another 500k rookie. Instead of Connor Stone, they've got another rookie there, like a Max Hall. And then instead of Boyd, they've got an Archer Reed. And that's where all the cash gen, pretty much, but outside of what I've got, is for other teams. But yeah, like you would see if you're watching on YouTube, getting in the Cleary and the Daicos number one combo on both trade fronts, I would say. Already have Gross as well, which was an obvious one, I think. Given his role, there is a chance that Elijah Hewitt comes back in for those that still have him, but it looks like they might hand a debut to someone else before him, so that's why I traded him out last week. And yeah, captaincies for this week. Let's just go through the top line guys. Zorko has Collingwood, not touching that. Harry Sheasel has Carlton in a rather early game. You could touch that on the Good Friday. You've also got Collingwood versus Brisbane on the Thursday night for Nick Daicos. Rosie at halfback against Sydney, probably cops a tag. You could go Jack Sinclair. He has a really nice run coming up at Marvel Stadium, which could be an interesting one to touch there, but that's on the Sunday, so you can't really go there. You've got Gawn against Fremantle. When do they play? They play on the Saturday early, so you could go there. You've got TDK against North. That'll be a tough matchup. You've got Jack McRae, obviously, as well. Horn Francis against Sydney. He's probably going to cop attention. And then you have Bailey Smith against also the Hawks, and that is on the last game. So that could be an actual captaincy option on the Monday, and that'll delay the team review, I guess, till the Monday night. But yeah, so do I really have a good VC is the big question. Do you go the Nick Daicos in the matchup against Brisbane? I don't really have a good VC, in all honesty, other than probably Max Gawn. Let's just look at DFS to just see how Fremantle are for ruck matchups. If we go to defense first position, this is the one that we want. And then we go to the ruck line. For Fremantle are plus 5.7. In the previous game, they gave Nankervis minus 12.4. So that's probably with, like, more so with Darcy, then he's going to be a negative matchup, I would say. Who's best for inside mids? You've got Richmond, Carlton, and Melbourne. Who do Melbourne have? Melbourne have Fremantle. Could you go Caleb Sarong, the VC? What's his last couple scores against the likes of... I'm probably scared off of going again with Caleb Sarong. Against Melbourne, he averages 94. Let's go to DFS, duplicate this as well so that we can just see what Caleb Sarong does against Melbourne, as that is a possible VC option there. Let's just type this out correctly for you guys. So Caleb Sarong against Melbourne, whereas Melbourne is roughly middle of the road for him. He has a high of 123. That didn't somehow load. There we go. It should load now. He's gone 123, 106, 104, 91 in the last 4 games against Melbourne. That is an average of 106 and 111 in the last 3. Melbourne's a pretty easy matchup. If we go to the index here and we go to Melbourne, in the last game, they gave up 134 to Zach Merritt, 99 to Durham, 91 to Shield, and they gave up 127 to Bailey Smith, as well as 129 to Matt Rowell. So it seems like those really just contested possession beast type of guys are really actually dining out the mass possession guys. Even Harry Sheasel went 102 against them. Tuke Miller 114. Noah Anderson 117. So you're probably going to get a spike score there. Even Tom Green went 104 against them. Jai Simpkin 81, but he wasn't getting too much mid time. So it looks like the real inside mids actually do well against Melbourne. So maybe that is a Caleb Sarong VC area there. And then also Sinclair off the halfback against the Western Bulldogs. Is that captaincy material? Let's just check. The Desi kicker. Melbourne, Richmond, or West Coast. And Western Bulldogs are actually middle of the ground, plus 1.14. And last week they were very, very restrictive to Wilmot and Zorko. But the week before they gave up quite a few points to Luke Ryan. And then, yeah, they're relatively restrictive this year to a certain degree. It's just Whitfield went nuts on them. So that'll be interesting with Sinclair, what Sinclair done against them in the past. As that could be my captaincy option here. Jack Sinclair here. Let's just see. In the last 3 against the Western Bulldogs, he has a horrific average against them. That's mostly because of a 9 and a 63 in a vest. And then also a 64 last year. Not the greatest. But yeah, he's done all right. In the last 4, he's gone 105. In the last 3, 106.7. It's heavily on this sort of this 106, 146. But when he does have very, very limited CBA time, he does do 1. So that's actually interesting. Jack Sinclair could actually be a really good option. Connor Rozee at halfback, I don't like against Sydney. I don't think his matchup is too kind there. Nick Daicos could be a possible VC. Are you willing to risk a Nick Daicos into Caleb Sarong? What's Max Gawn gone against in the last 3 against the likes of Sean Darcy and Freo? Let's just see this. In terms of Fremantle, he actually doesn't average the best at 93.6. And he's gone 121, 91, 87, 104. That's not the greatest. He doesn't really have the big punch games. But, I mean, he does have a couple of 30s against them. So, when he's actually rucking, he kind of averages 105 against them, which actually isn't the worst. So that'll be interesting. He could be a potential VC there. But yeah, I don't like any of the other options. Jack McRae against his old side. The Bulldogs are good. Let's go back. Bulldogs good for inside mids. Again, they're about, let's go to actual inside mids. No, they're not. And then you've got also Bailey Smith against the Hawks. The Hawks for inside mids. If we go back to this again, the Hawks are very, very restrictive, so I wouldn't be touching Bailey Smith for a VC. And then Sydney, I think, are also very restrictive for inside mids. They are actually roughly about even, plus 0.17. So that's interesting. And then Caleb Daniel off the halfback flank against for North against Carlton. He hasn't really had those big games. He's had a low of 88 and a high of 115, so he hasn't really been able to do it. Maybe you could do Harry Sheasel if we go back to Carlton and their inside mids / Desi kicker, I think would be the best way, or general defender for the sake of looking at Carlton, plus 6.27. He could be a sneaky shout, Harry Sheasel, for a VC. As not many of the big guys have gone big. I mean, Jai Newcomb went big, Tom Libber. So it's actually the contested players that go big, which North Melbourne, that could sniff an LDU going big. And now let's just go to Harry Sheasel here and check his last 3 against against Carlton and see how he goes there. That'll be it might need to be last 2 against Carlton. Carlton is his best side. He's gone 126 against them, 45% CBAs for 136. So yeah, Harry Sheezel could actually be a sneaky shout, just because he could rack it up. And with no Chincotta. Yes, they'll have George Hewitt in there, but George Hewitt isn't really tagging, or he is tagging, but I don't know if he will actually tag against North Melbourne. So that could be a sneaky shout there, is actually Harry Sheezel. And then if we just go to here to designated kickers as well, they are minus 2.68, and then general defenders, wing defenders. So they're all right just for inside mid. So that could be a sneaky one there, is Harry Sheezel, just to rack it up there for North Melbourne. Hopefully they actually put him on ball. As I'm just going to quickly check the CBAs for North Melbourne, just to check that he's been playing relatively on ball, as we just go to North Melbourne here. Let's just check Harry Sheezel, 72% last week, so much better, as he looked better against Gold Coast. Even though the side sort of whimpered out in the last quarter, he looked good when the game was competitive, and I think that Harry Sheezel could be that cheeky VC that we want they play on a Friday. I think it is the early Friday. So yeah, that could be an actual really good VC to go with there, as I'm just checking what Sheezel's score in the last quarter was against the Gold Coast Suns. It was a 19-pointer. He was actually on 68 at halftime. So I think that he could really improve that if the North Melbourne side can actually run out a game. So do you go a Sheezel into a Caleb Sarong? I don't think there's too many top end scorers this week. You could go the merit run against for those that have merit is probably very enticing for the West Coast game. They will probably put some attention into him, but you'd expect him still to score really well there. So that's probably what I'd be looking at there, as their metrics are pretty kind. If we even go to last 5, you'll see it. I think West Coast will pop, but yeah, Carlton definitely pop in last 5 as well. And I think you could almost consider him a wing defender, or he's kind of just everywhere. So yeah, I think Harry Sheezel will be the VC. And then we said Freo against Melbourne as well. So hitting those top 2 matchups there. The ruck matchup you want is probably actually the Richmond matchup somehow. As you can see, Sydney is starting to become a lot more red in the ruck matchup. That will flip even more as Grundy gets back to his fitness. As yeah, the Luke Jackson matchup, he's a 104 ruckman anyway, so that's actually a negative matchup in itself. So yeah, that's the video there. Do I need to go through any of the rookies? Do I want Davidson over Cleary? That's an interesting one. Cleary against Port Adelaide. What's he done? 75 he has done in this year. 68, 83. Or do I want Davidson? Davidson could almost be a better match trade out just to get to. Do you want the merit or do you want Daicos? Because Daicos will has Brisbane, but then the week after you can get I could easily get Roberts up to a Daicos anyway the week after. That's actually interesting. So what if I was to do Davidson would give me another 90k. I actually can't get up to merit only just. So yeah, we'll stick with those trades, as Davidson's got a 25 or 26 break even and Corey Warner has a 27. So they're basically the same. Do I want to field Davidson over Cleary? I probably do. And then Foz, do I want to have a sort of Gross or Lindsay, or do I want to have a trainer is a big question that I'll probably put a poll up as to who do you want not to play? Who do I want not to play out of trainer, Gross, or as trainer, Lindsay or Cleary is probably the question there, I'd say. But yeah, that's the general consensus with the side at the moment. Caleb Sarong, captain, is a little bit worrying, especially going against a Nick Daicos, who, if we actually look at his stats this year, if you take out the tag, he's not going to get as heavily tagged. When he doesn't get heavily tagged, he kind of averages a very, very good amount anyway. So going against a Nick Daicos VC is probably going to be rough. What are we saying for the VC and the captaincy in terms of the coach's choice here? Not consistency, we want coach's choice. Most people are going the Sheasel into Tristan Cherry. That's probably just a dead pick. Royal Marshall, no one's probably touching that anyway. De Koning, and then Sheasel is the best captaincy option anyway. And then, yeah, Brayshaw, understand that as well. He's in ripper form at the moment and almost a consideration just because he's got that Melbourne matchup. Is Sarong anywhere near this? Caleb Sarong at 2.4%. So, yeah, some people agree with me at least. But anyway, that is the video there. If you did enjoy it, you'll have on screen now as well other videos that you can click through, including my other fantasy videos. If you guys also play Supercoach, you will see my Supercoach team reveal come out in an hour's or so time if you are catching this right at the start of this video being uploaded. So I'll see you guys in that next video. Bye, guys.